Welcome everyone to episode 16 of Everyone Hates the Commissioner. We have a Thursday night special tonight with Stu. Welcome back, Stu.
Thanks for having me. We're back, baby.
Yep. And Dan, how are you guys doing?
Good.
Doing
That's
good.
Stu, how are you? How was your holiday? Are you
It was good. It's pretty low key. We stayed in town for most of it at my in-laws, at Cheyenne's parents, and we did our little shindig here on Christmas morning, first Christmas in the house, so that was fun. And then I got two more this weekend. I got Cheyenne's extended side, and then Christmas at my mom's on New Year's Day, like late. I think we're having pizza or something, so not too bad. How about you?
Busy. Been a busy week. Holidays were good. A lot of traveling, but we survived as well. Dan,
Yeah.
how did you fare?
It was pretty low key. I actually had to hang out at work for a few nights to help our IT team remotely log in and do some network upkeep while we were closed on Christmas. So,
that's too bad.
Yeah.
Well, it was a rather exciting weekend in football. I guess we'll kind of touch on that a little bit, but we don't have to go through in a little while. We don't have to do kind of or get to know you because Stu, we've been here before.
Yep, we've been here before. How many people have repeated on the podcast so far?
I think you are the John came on, but then yeah, other than that, it's about it.
Sweet.
So we don't have to go through all of that fun stuff, but you kind of talked about what you got going on this weekend. It's New Year's Eve this weekend. That's gonna be exciting. We might go up but visit John actually on Saturday night.
Sweet, that'll be fun. Up in Green Bay, right?
Yeah,
I thought.
Yeah, he rented a room like right across the road from the Tiletown district or something till 10, so we have a big space to kind of hang out and stuff.
Sweet.
And then we'll go out and have a good old time. But
that's freaking sweet. Dan, how about you? What do you got planned for this weekend?
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Do you have to go into the club?
We are open, yeah. So, but okay. I probably won't be in on Saturday.
Okay, well that's good at least.
Well, I saw you had something to drink over there, Stu. What do you got to drink tonight?
Jesus, I got the whole damn thing. I got a Diet Coke sitting right there, and I got Bud Light. We're out of Busch Light, so I had to go to the next best thing, I guess. I would make an old fashioned, but my wife's a lot better at making them. I'd probably screw it up, but yeah. Bud Light. What about you guys?
Well, you know me. I got the bottle of Basil Hayden's here, of course. Must be 21 or older to drink, but yeah, we went to Theo's tonight. Got to grab some quick dinner. Had a couple vodkas there. Yep, it was very good. Their awesome. Pot stickers are outstanding. Yeah, like I would have those every night of the week. They're so good. But yeah, Dan, what do you got tonight? Just chilling tonight. Yep, he just ready. He wants to talk some fucking football.
Yeah, he does.
He can see it all over his face. Okay, one last thing before we kind of dive into that, though. This is new from last time, Stu. What was your favorite or best meal that you either cooked or had this last week or the holiday?
Cheyenne and I had company, a couple of my clients over last night for dinner, and she made these she makes such good Philly cheesesteaks. Where we make all the meat and the veggies ahead of time, and then my job was to prep I guess they're not like full Philly cheesesteaks, they're kind of like 3/4, so I like prep the buns with a little bit of mayo and then a half a slice of Kobe Jack cheese, then pepper jack cheese, and then we put the veggies and meat in it, and then put a slice of pepper jack cheese on top and then baked them. So freaking good. I actually devoured 2 of them after I got home from work today. So it was so good. Those are my favorite that she makes. Yeah, so I had that. What about you guys? Anything good?
Dan?
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit last week. My mom actually sent me some steaks for Christmas.
Sweet.
So that was awesome. And then one of my employees actually gave me a really cool like marinating kit for Christmas, and she's like, I hope you like like to grill out and steak. And I'm like, well, I just got a shipment of steaks yesterday. So
There you go.
I've been taking advantage of that.
That's awesome.
I'm no grill master like Mr. Diltz there, but
Diltz does good.
yes.
Well, we had a it was really I was nervous, but we had like a 6.5 pound prime rib, and I butterflied it open, like rolled it out, and I basted or butter poached or whatever. Is it butter poached lobster? Is it poaching or based?
I don't have a damn clue.
But anyways, I cut, and I got I had like a pound of lobster tail, and cooked those up just with butter or whatever, and melted butter, cubed that up with some peppers, and I roll and parsley, rolled that back up in the prime rib, tied it, put a rub on the whole outside, and then we baked that. Oh man, that was good.
Holy frickin' smokes.
That was Christmas Eve. Yeah. It was a really interesting take on prime rib. I would definitely have it again. But you're not used to it because you're not used to like having that seafood flavor in there.
Did you just come up with that yourself, or did you find a recipe?
I wish I did. No, I watch a lot of cooking videos, and there's a guy I follow. He did that, so decided to give it a try. It was good. I'm glad we did. Glad we did it. I didn't ruin it. Didn't ruin the steak. I was really nervous. I was gonna like hack through it while I was kind of filleting it out, but everything turned out really good. So
that's good.
Yeah. Stu, since things have changed in your world since the last time that we talked about this. So kind of, I mean, I'm not sure if are you even playing a game this week? I'm not sure.
I don't think there is a game because we settled. I played for 7th last week.
Okay, so I guess bring us up to speed, and our worldwide listeners up to speed on how everything kind of panned out for you this year.
Yeah, I mean, I actually went back this week and was looking at my past weeks. Week 4, I think it was week 4, maybe week 6. I lost a game to Brian, who's in the championship it was 134.88 to 134.92. And then I went down on my roster, including my bench. I only have 3 of the same players, I think, on my team from like week 5 or 6. 3. That is
I'll pull this up while we're talking because I've actually got
nuts. I looked at that. I don't know if it was 3 or 2. It included my bench too. So like it was a complete makeover. You know, I drafted Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb. They had really good years. They're not on my roster anymore. I also had Debo. I shipped him off. Made a couple decent. Well, let's see this.
Oh, this is good.
So I've got your main guys on draft after the draft.
Yeah.
And then you can see how drastically it changed as of week 2. And then drastically how much it's changed since then as well. So you've got a couple guys like Lenny, but I've also got a list here.
Leonard, Fat Lenny, my guy.
You have had 8 quarterbacks this season.
It's freaking sick.
22 running backs.
No.
And 24 wide receivers and tight ends. Including Nick Chubb, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry.
Kenneth Walker. I never had Saquon.
Well, you did on draft day.
No.
You traded him to me for Deontay Johnson and Russell Wilson.
I guess it was pick for pick. I didn't. Don't make it look. Still make it sound that bad.
But it makes it funny.
Oh, that makes it sound horrible, Dan.
All right, we'll leave Saquon out. But Nick Chubb,
hurts.
Derrick Henry, Kenneth Walker, Leonard Fournette, Alvin Kamara, Brian Robinson, Deontay Foreman, and now Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, JT's on the IR right now. He's not on my current. Oh, he is up there. I see him. He's just covered up by us.
You've literally had 8 out of the top, arguably 16 running backs.
It's neat, huh?
Wide receiver, you had 24 pass catchers, including Tyreek Hill, Deebo Samuel, Tyler Lockett, Scary Terry, DJ Moore, Michael Pittman, Brandon Ayuk, DeAndre Hopkins, Zay Jones, Deontay Johnson, Sky Moore. So you have had
I've had
a lot of guys
or not.
come through your team.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest ones that hurt, I'm not super upset with Derrick Henry. He's getting old, and I think that team's dying a little bit, which I think is sad because I thought they were gonna have a really good year. Tyreek Hill obviously hurts really bad. D Hop, I got him when he was suspended. I traded him before his suspension was up. Because I started so gosh darn poorly with those tight losses. I needed some help if I was going to make a push. I couldn't wait till week 7 for D Hop to come back. But I mean, yeah, I had plenty of opportunities this year, I think. Do I think out of every single player that I had, I have the best possible roster with me getting picks back? No, but I think I traded away almost everything when it came to draft capital right away on draft night. So I kind of set myself up very poorly for years to come. So I had to do a little damage control because as I love college football, I had to kind of be a little bit less emotional when it came to my dealing my draft picks and kind of figuring out what they're worth. And still it's still up in the air. I mean, you could strike gold. You couldn't. I mean, Damian Pierce in the second round of Nick. I mean, that's gold. You know, like there are a lot of other guys like that have happened out. None of my rookies that I drafted are on my team. I know Dan's got Kenny Walker. Should have been a little bit more patient on him, but I need some freaking help right away. Because that is a horrible start, like the worst possible start you could have, meaning luck wise. I lost 2 games by less than a point. So that was freaking brutal right away. I think I started 1-4. I don't even know. And then I finished, did I finish 7? Did we have 14 weeks, 7-7?
Yeah.
I think brought it back. I think I won 4 out of 6 to finish out the year to get it to 7-7.
6 and 8, but yeah, I mean, you made a good run.
Yeah. Yeah. I made a decent run at it. I thought if a couple mishits when it came to starting the wrong player, and I would have been the 6th seed in the playoffs, I think, in the last 4 weeks of the year. Because I think I went 2-2 the last 4 weeks. So yeah, it's tough. I don't know. I don't hate my team moving forward. I'm hoping that Brian Robinson's going to be the bell cow moving forward there. Fat Lenny's probably going to get cut, but Fat Lenny's probably going to find a team. Fat Lenny for Nick hating Fat Lenny. And everybody hating Fat Lenny. Fat Lenny had his moments this year. I think he's still got some years left in him, but he's going to be that guy that 100% splits carries with somebody. Whatever situation he gets into. I think he's lost a little weight since last year. So hopefully he's leaning out a little bit. He caught surprisingly a lot of balls this year. He caught a ton of balls. And one thing that I saw the last couple weeks, when Tampa Bay was playing those tight games where I feel like they had 3 fourth-quarter drives to win it in 3 consecutive games, something like that. I was shocked I didn't see Rachaad White in there in those drives. I mean, he caught that late touchdown 2 weeks ago, which was good. But Lenny caught 4 passes that drive to get them down there when Rachaad White caught that game-winning touchdown. So he's catching the ball. I mean, clearly he has to find the right situation. Kamara might be suspended next year. He's probably going to get suspended. We haven't heard anything about that in months. I'm sure it's going to resurface. Obviously, it's not like his criminal charges are going away. But JT, I mean, only having 900 yards receiving and kind of being dinged up all year. That offensive line was supposed to be really good, and they haven't been. And with what's happening with Jeff Saturday and their quarterback situation, I think JT will find himself in a much better situation next year, including Michael Pittman that I have on that team. He's still young. He's only 24. Scary Terry, I think, is going to get into a better situation. Carson Wentz, he's not going to win them games, but he likes to chuck the ball. And I think that is a little bit more suitable for Scary Terry to get those deep balls. He did well with Taylor Heineke. He heated up a little bit towards the end of the year here, but other than that, Darren Waller was hurt all year. He's getting old as hell, too. But Travis Kelce's also 32. Darren Waller, I think, is 31. Darren Waller might be 32. But he just signed that 3-year deal this offseason. And I don't know. I'm hearing rumors of Tom Brady going to Vegas. So I think it'd be a perfect situation for Devontae. And Tom always he's always loved tight ends over the middle of the field over the course of his career. So I don't know. Justin Fields, I think he's going to continue to thrive. And Deshaun Watson sitting on my bench. I'm happy with that. He's going to have a whole nother off season, and God, if he doesn't put it together, that is going to be just as bad as the Russell Wilson deal, especially because it's fully guaranteed. It might be even worse. No, it's not going to be worse because of the draft collateral that Denver gave up. It might be worse. Who knows? He's also he's also an assaulter or whatever. So it might be worse.
No means no.
No means no. I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent. I'm really glad that I got 3 picks within the first 2 rounds this year. I mean, I traded away. I think I kept my 2025 first rounder, but at one point I didn't have a 2023 first rounder, didn't have a 2024. I didn't have some second round picks, so I had to do some finagling. I think the biggest steal that I had all year was after I got JT and then I got Hines with him the next week when Hines was traded to Buffalo. Jake traded me a second round pick for him. So I'm just like, okay, like Hines for a second round pick. I feel really good about that. So yeah, it all depends. You got to hit in the draft. You got to hit in the draft moving forward, or your team's not going to change that much unless you really go all in and trade everything, But I don't know. For the next couple of years, I think I'll be middle of the road, hoping to make the playoffs. I don't think I have the team that's going to go out there and blow up by any means, but I think I'll be in the mix for the top 6 over the next couple of years. And then hopefully with aging guys like Waller, Fournette. I mean, I was really old at running back at one point. Now I'm pretty young apart from Kamara. I've got JT and Robinson, and David Montgomery's he's 24, but I'm curious if the Bears are going to pick up his option, his 5th year. Probably not, but I think he's going to find himself in a good situation. I mean, if you look at a constant in the Bears offense over the last 4 years, it's David Montgomery rushing for 1,000 yards and catching some balls out of the backfield. But I think every running back, kind of like what I said with Fat and Lenny, I think every back is starting to understand that you have to be able to catch balls in this league. And if you can't, you're going to be pretty dispendable. So I don't know. I feel okay about it. It could have went a lot worse. It could have went a lot better,
Yeah. Well, we'll dive into that JT trade in a little bit here. But Dan, do you wanna kind of go over this last weekend?
Yeah. I mean, it was a fun matchup. I'm glad that all the final 4 teams, the games were all really close.
They were really close.
Brian and Aaron's game came down to the last couple minutes. Aaron was actually projected to beat him by quite a bit.
A ton.
The night games, Brian caught up and Aaron just didn't really do it. Nick, you and I were just back and forth constantly. Neither one of us ever really had an upper hand. I knew it. Stu, you just talked about Rachaad White. Nick had Rachaad White going. He was his last player, and I was up, I believe, 2 or 3. And Lenny got them all the way down the field.
Fat Lenny.
And he called for a sub. And
I saw that. I was like, Lenny, lose some weight.
I knew it. I texted Nick. I was like, I knew it. And then Rachaad White gets in and takes the lead. And I'm just shaking my head. CeeDee Lamb had killed me in the afternoon game.
Oh, that was this past week. I thought it was 2 weeks ago when he caught the touchdown.
That was our matchup. And then luckily Tampa went to OT and Suckup kicked that field goal. So I felt bad for Nick because I told him I was going to give him all the grief this week, and I haven't, because I knew how bad it felt like when I fell behind. It made me feel a little bit better that my defense also would have scored 20 on Monday. I took them out to risk to not have the risk of getting negative points. So I would have won pretty easily, but with Wilson or Christian Watson getting hurt and then the back and forth, I kind of felt bad, but it made me feel a little bit better knowing that my defense would have won it easily. And then it wasn't as bad that Watson got hurt, and it was kind of a bad luck for Nick. But obviously I'll take it. It's fantasy football.
You're the champ. You're the
ship. We've all lost by 1. We've all won by 1. So
I don't know if anybody else has lost by 0.04.
No.
I might have to. There you go, gentlemen.
Especially on stat correction.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's okay.
That Watson, that one really bummed me out because they clearly were in the worst way trying to get the ball in his hands. He had 6 catches for 50 yards or whatever. So clearly that they had a big game plan for him down in Miami, because that was kind of the whole plan, is that secondary was a little beat up and he was just going to fucking scorch them. But that was what hurt. But I came back to life. I was pretty nervous the day games on the Saturday, but I came back to life after CD Lamb, and I actually thought it was done after that. And then I watched the Raiders game,
Signed,
and
sealed,
Derek Carr
delivered.
is so fucking bad.
Here comes
And
Dan.
it kept on turning the ball over when you could hand it off to your bell cow back there, and he only ended up getting me 6 points. So, because it's not like they were losing by a lot where they had to throw the ball. Derek Carr just doesn't. Clearly, he's not playing for them probably ever again. So, that one after I watched that game and the Las Vegas game against Pittsburgh, then I was like, now it's done. I'm like, there's no way. I was so high, and then over the course of the game, I was just like, you got to be fucking kidding me.
I mean, last year going into the fantasy football championship in Cody's league, I had Nick Chubb and I was down 6 points. And that was week 17, and I ended up losing by 0.6. He needed 7 more yards to win it. So, that was, I know what pain's like. I know what it's like. Yep.
But you know,
would you rather have, you'd rather be, I was just going to ask a really dumb question. Would you rather have lost in the finals? You're winning some money, so you definitely would have rather lost in the finals. What a stupid question.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I mean, at the same time, like I was talking a bunch of shit to John, especially after he made that trade with you. I'm like, and I was at that point with John Chandler. At that point, my record was not good. I'm like, dude, just
you got hot, Nick. You got. I'm like, really
this team has so much potential. Just it's gonna come, and then it started rolling really, really good towards the end of the season, kind of like I expected it to. So, that just as disappointing as this last weekend was. Still have a chance to make my money back, at least, or at least half of it back, in the third place game. But I'm really excited about the future though too. So it just sucks that
you have a ton of draft collateral, a freaking ton.
Yeah, it just sucks that we have to wait another. I mean, we have to wait fucking 7 months till we get to start and do this all over again. We should
get an XFL fantasy league. That would be insane. We have to do it on paper like they did it back in the day because they probably don't have platforms for it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, they definitely don't have a platform for it. Yeah, but back to that. I know I'm getting a little off task, but I think one thing would be really cool. We talked about if we talked about the potential QB carousel that's going to go on in the NFL this offseason. Yeah. I think that's really intriguing. Something that goofy just popped into my head. I mean, you look at, is Derek Carr Carson Wentz? Derek Carr's been a starter for 9 years in the NFL. Carson Wentz doesn't have the longevity yet, and Derek stayed pretty healthy. But I saw a stat the other day. He's lost, I think it's more games than anybody as a starting quarterback in their first X amount of starts or total seasons.
9 years, yeah.
Yes. He's also like 79 games or something more than that. I don't know what the stat was. It was absurd.
He's also had 6 head coaches in his 9 years. So that's
but that goal, I mean, you can play devil's advocate both ways. If he had better coaches, but also if he was a better quarterback, they wouldn't lose coaches.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely put it more on the organization than I do on Carr.
Yes. Yep. I would agree.
He's not an elite guy, but he also doesn't deserve to be the scapegoat.
I do too. Like, I think like one thing that they're bringing up Cliff Kingsbury and Nathaniel Hackett. These organizations are dumping out money for their franchise quarterbacks. And who is the organization going to side with? The guy that they pay $10 million a year to, or the guy that they just paid $200 million guaranteed to? They have to side with the quarterback. So yeah, I mean, it's on the organization not putting but it's also on Derek Carr because I mean, I think people thinking that Derek Carr last year when they led him to the postseason at 10-7, Indianapolis stepped on their own throats last year with Carson Wentz that last game of the year. They shouldn't Las Vegas shouldn't even been in the playoffs. But
because they just had to beat Jacksonville in the last game of the year, right? And then they would have been in, but then they lost to Jacksonville.
I think Carson threw an interception. It was a tight game. I think he threw an interception late. And yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, I mean, the QB carousel is going to be insane.
And the running backs. There are a lot of running backs this year that are going to be changing.
If they're going to so this Josh Jacobs' 5th year or was it his 4th?
They declined it.
They declined it. So are they going to I mean, Josh Jacobs, they have to re-sign him.
Well, they're
or is it a massive slap in the face?
No, they're going to definitely throw money at him. It'd be stupid for them not to, but it's whether or not he wants to stay. Have you seen? I mean, I just watched an interview he did in the locker room, and they asked about, you know, the mistakes that their team was making and stuff. If they could learn, if he felt like those mistakes were being repeated over and over, and he goes, "Man, I don't know how many times I can deal with this." He goes, "I'm sick of this. It's the same story every single game, every single season." He seemed very upset with the whole organization as a whole. So I think they're definitely going to throw money at him, but I bet you he's gone. And hopefully he goes to a pretty good situation.
Josh Jacobs, it's David Montgomery, it's a veteran like Fournette that's gonna get signed, and Fournette's he's gonna be one of those guys where he shares carries with somebody. Who else is?
But also, you got to remember, Josh Jacobs is incredibly young still, and obviously
24.
That he is I think 24, 25.
Him and David Montgomery are the same age. Yeah, they're both the same draft class.
The problem is, though, I don't know you talked about it, Stu, with today's landscape. I don't know if there's really an ideal promised land for a running back to sign with this year. You know what I mean? I actually think if you'd have asked me 3 weeks ago with the Raiders playing all right, I was like, there's no way that he doesn't re-sign with the Raiders. It makes sense for them to pay him. It makes sense for him to stay. He can be a bell cow, right? And now like the whole situation is flipped over, but where's he going to go? I mean, I know he's going to get signed. He's going to get good money, but I don't think there's that promised land of team, you know, unless Baltimore decides to move on from JK some way. Miles Sanders is a free agent in Philly. I think Jacobs could be a really good fit there. But other than that, like,
I hate Cam Akers. I could see him go to the Rams.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's another one.
I could see him go to the Rams.
Like, what team are these running backs going to go?
Yeah, where's he going to go?
You know? And there's a lot of them. We talked about it a few weeks ago. There are a lot of free agent running backs.
Yeah. I mean, David Montgomery, Josh Jacobs, Leonard Fournette. I mean, those guys, I'm sure there are more that we're not even thinking of. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah, the running back carousel and the quarterback carousel. I mean, I know there's going to be a coach that feels like they can potentially put Zach Wilson in the right situation and sit him behind a veteran for 2 years. It's just what Zach Wilson's really worth in the open trade market right now is going to be intriguing.
Not good.
Not good at all.
I mean, so have you heard those rumors that if Aaron Rodgers comes back to Green Bay next year, Jordan Love is going to request a trade? Did you see that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I feel like you could get more for Jordan Love.
Well, I think so.
Than you could get for the number 2 overall pick from last year.
I mean, Jordan Love is worth a 2nd-round pick.
I would,
right?
I don't know. You'd like to think so, but the way that these teams value these picks, I honestly could see them having to just eat it and take a 3rd. You know, I don't know, but I don't
freaking suck.
Yeah,
that would really freaking suck.
Unless that 2 is at the back of the 2nd round, I'm not seeing it.
Let me ask you guys a question, not necessarily fantasy related, but NFL related. What is your ideal new team for a free agent or trade bait quarterback? Like, of all the quarterbacks that are moving, what is an ideal situation for a specific guy and a specific team next year?
Oh God, I think the Niners trading Trey Lance and having him sit behind a really good veteran for 1 year and getting healthy, or a good veteran, not even a really good veteran, but I love Trey Lance. You know, I think he's the guy that we've seen the least of, but my cousin played football at North Dakota State when they won all those national championships. So he's seen a lot of Trey. Go away. He's seen a lot of Trey. I really like Trey Lance. You know, when we were sitting at 3rd and 1, I told him, I was just like, you need to draft Trey Lance. It was late. I was just like, you need to take him. It wasn't late. It was probably the 7th round or something like that. But I like Trey. I have no idea where he's going to go. I mean, the Niners could keep him. I mean, what does the Niners situation look like at quarterback?
Well, this is why the Niners are going to keep Trey Lance, and I'll tell you why. Jimmy G, and I don't want to steal Nick's thunder, but my ideal situation is Jimmy G goes to play with Indianapolis.
I think you would be the best.
Run the ball. They're fixing the culture. Jimmy G's not a problem in the locker room. They do have good weapons. They do have a solid O-line. They don't need him to make a ton of plays. That's not the way the team is designed. But I think San Fran then can keep Brock Purdy as their backup, because why did they trade up for Trey Lance? Because of the ceiling potential.
Yeah.
So them dumping him right now makes no sense. I get that he's injured and Purdy's playing well, but Purdy and Jimmy G are only going to take that team so far. If Trey Lance comes back and is what like you think he can and what a lot of us think he can, that team is disgustingly good.
I think that team's.
I don't think they can get rid of him.
I just what
not yet.
The only devil's advocate I have there is look what they're paying Brock Purdy. Okay. At Mr. Irrelevant. I'm not sure what Trey Lance's contract looks like, but
he's probably making $7 or $8 million a year.
He's probably making $7 or $8 million. His 5th-year option is going to be fully guaranteed at probably 28 or something goofy like that. I don't freaking know. That's a 5th year. Is that a 5th year or a 4th-year option for Trey Lance?
Fifth. First year.
This is only his 2nd year, correct?
Yeah.
Golly. I mean, yeah, it is too early. The only thing that I was thinking, if they got CMC, they got George Kittle, they've got Ayuk, they've got Debo. Do they just suck it up with Brock Purdy and go after it and just sign every possible skill player they can? If they feel like they have a true window where they're not sure about Trey Lance and they feel like they can win 2 Super Bowls, hell, go for it. I don't know. Winning is king. People want to win. Super Bowls live forever. First round draft picks don't. Regardless of how often they pan out or not. That's the only situation I can see if it ever gets into a cap situation. But if they're only paying him $7 million a year, they brought Jimmy in on a 1-year fully guaranteed. I don't even know how much it was. It was probably in the teens.
I don't remember.
It was probably in the teens or something like that. But I really like the Jimmy G to Indianapolis. They have that Jelani Woods, that like 6-foot something tight end. Jimmy G is like going to love it. Like a little, and he's got Mo Alley Cox. And I guess I like that Alex Pierce. Alex Pierce. I mean, they're good. You know, it's they've got a lot of guys. They've got a lot of guys there. What does Tampa Bay do at quarterback? You know,
they need to blow up. They need to blow it up. They have their cap situation is so bad.
I thought Zach Wilson actually would be an interesting sign for Tampa. They just seem like the organization that might just say fuck it. Yeah. But Nick, what do you think for QBs next year? Like, what's an ideal situation for a trade for a quarterback or free agent?
So I would have said, okay, a couple things. I would have said Indianapolis for sure. Either for Garoppolo or Love. I would have loved to see Jimmy G in giant blue too. Not a big Daniel Jones guy, and you know that he could hand it off to Saquon and then just tear him up in the play action because that's his bread and butter. But another one would be like maybe a Jordan Love trade. These guys have some serious potential in the future is down in Atlanta with Kyle Pitts, Drake London. I know they traded away Calvin Ridley, but it seems like they like Tyler Algier. Cordell Patterson's probably on his way out relatively soon.
They're also 31, 32, but Atlanta's projected in like the last 3 mock drafts. They're projected to take a running back in the 1st round. I saw that. Yeah. I did see that.
I'm with, I mean, I know it's the projections and stuff, but I think Atlanta's got too many holes to be going running back. And I'm with Nick. I think they really like Algier. Algier looks pretty good. So, I mean, I'm not ruling those guys out because they know more than we do, but that just wouldn't make a lot of sense for me for Atlanta.
Yeah, but we're talking about
Desmond Ridder looked horrible, by the way.
Yeah. So I'll touch on the 49ers thing, and then we're gonna jump into a question here for you. But if it's me and I'm John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, I am riding Brock Purdy until I am forced to change my hand. I
think he's better than Jimmy G. I think he has ceiling that's higher than Jimmy G's.
I understand that the 49ers defense is the best in the league and they're as hot as can be right now, but that guy has done nothing to make you even want to think about taking him out of the game. He's done everything right.
How many times has he even turned the ball?
I don't think he has.
Has he turned the ball over?
I don't think so.
That's freaking absurd.
Yep, he's done everything perfectly and pretty damn close. All of his teammates love him, and this just reminds me of that scenario down in or over in New England when they just paid the first $100 million player ever in the NFL and drafted a 6th round quarterback out of Michigan, and that $100 million guy goes down, and who runs off with the job? All right, it's that guy taken late with a chip on his shoulder. So I can, at this point, just ride him out, because you just see what you got before.
So is that a quarterback competition? Opening up training camp with Trey Lance and Brock
next
Purdy?
season?
Or do they come out and say Purdy's the starter?
No, I think they're gonna go. I think they're gonna go with Trey at the start of next year. And then something's going to happen, and Brock Purdy's and if the second Trey Lance has a bad game, Purdy's going in, and then they're going to be like, okay, this guy keeps doing the right thing over and over. He's making the right decisions. Everybody loves him, and I think he's going to run with the job. And then ultimately Trey Lance.
You don't think teams are going to come calling for Purdy?
No, they're not giving him up. They have him on the cheap. He was the last pick of the draft. He's got him on the cheap for 4 years.
What if somebody comes and gives a decent draft capital for him?
Here's the problem, though, you guys. You got to remember NFL business. Trey Lance, how much capital did they give up to move up to get Trey Lance?
Yeah,
here's another thing about Brock Purdy. I love Brock Purdy. I'm on the band train. I'm rooting for the guy. He has played well. Brock Purdy does not have that all-world potential at anything. He's not a top athlete. He's 6'1". He's like Tom Brady.
6'4".
He's 6'4", and he also has probably one of the best brains of all time. I'm not saying Purdy isn't there, but Brady, every one of the top quarterbacks has something elite. Purdy does not have an elite intangible anywhere.
But did we know that Tom had that elite brain?
Well, I think some guys did. Bill Parcells claims he did. I mean, who knows? But
claims.
This is not me bashing on Purdy, and it's not me knocking your guys' outline. I just don't. I think Purdy. I'm not saying he's Jimmy G, but I think they fit the same mold. He does make the right decisions, but so does Jimmy G. Could Jimmy G get them to the promised land? No. Yeah. I think Brock Purdy is a guy like Nick talked about, with a phenomenal cast, a phenomenal defense, fantastic coaching, a great organization. The guy can be successful. I don't think he's ever going to be an elite quarterback, and I think the Niners know that, and that's why they have to roll the dice with Trey Lance at least for another 2 years.
I love Trey Lance. I love him. I think he has that peak ceiling. He's a bigger bodied Kyler Murray, not quick, not that fast twitch like Kyler, but he's got the arm. God, I'd hope he's more intelligent than Kyler Murray.
I think that goes without saying.
But yeah, I think really interesting. But I mean, let's look at Daniel Jones obviously getting re-signed, right?
Is he?
Come on, you guys honestly think there's a real scenario where Daniel Jones does not get re-signed?
I don't know.
I wouldn't.
I mean, I think he's 16 touchdowns, 5 interceptions this year with like 8 rushing touchdowns, and he's ran for like over 600 yards.
Well, they need to give some. They also seems like they run the ball 75% of the time, including the quarterback rushes. They need some weapons, and they need to just quit trading away all of their fucking wide receivers if their
receiving room is horrible.
Yeah, it is awful.
So here's quick stats on Brock Purdy: 73 of 106, so about 70% clip. That's fantastic.
That's top of the league.
Yeah. Eight touchdowns, 2 picks. I don't remember what situation. So again, but that guy, man, he's got elite offensive line. He's got 0 pressure because of the defense. He's got an all-world running back, one of the top tight ends in the league, one of the best coaches in the league. So again, this is not me bashing Brock Purdy. I'm rooting for the guy, but I know how the hype train goes, like Mike White. Do you guys think Mike White is really the future for the next 3 years for the Jets?
No.
Mike White can chuck the ball around.
He absolutely can, but he's not a next level quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely not.
That's why the Cowboys didn't keep him. You know what I mean? So I think Purdy is, like Nick said, I think you got to keep Purdy as your backup, especially if Trey Lance gets hurt.
Yeah.
Right. He's a great insurance policy, but I don't see him. There's not going to be a competition if Lance is healthy.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to try to, that was a very good discussion. I'm just gonna try to rein us back in a little bit.
Yeah, and we don't argue that much on this show. It's always like, yeah, I agree. So I think it's good that we have some disparity, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I just want to finish up on some fantasy stuff before we really go down the NFL rabbit hole, you know, and then then we gotta do our favorite segment, of course. But hey, like I'm not knocking it. You know, I just have a couple questions for you here, Stu.
Yeah.
And for the both of you, really. And then we'll dive into some more, because I'm sure that there's going to be something else here, another good disagreement or some discussion here. But I do want to know a couple of things about fantasy before we get into that. But I want to know what this is for you too, Dan. What would you have done differently this year if there was one move that you could go back and say, hey, I fucked that up, and that really fucked me up. If I could go back, that's the one move that I needed to do redo. Which one would you think that would be?
Finding a way to not trade Tyreek Hill. Yeah, that's literally it. You know, like if you look at what is he, the third or fourth overall player this year? I mean, I quite honestly think that I traded probably 3 out of the top 10 players. I mean, Derrick Henry might not be 10, but Nick Chubb's got to be in the top 10 with his blistering start. He's cooled off a little bit here with our assaulter into the lineup. But yeah, I think it's got to be Tyreek Hill. You know, just getting rid of him. I think also early on, I traded Darren Waller. I got Darren Waller for a first round pick and I got Darren Waller and some change for a first round pick. I wasn't quite respecting what the rookie draft could do for me then, but yeah, Tyreek sticks out like a sore damn thumb. A sore thumb.
That trade for you was tough.
What was that trade? I forget it.
You gave up Hill, DeAndre Hopkins.
I remember this trade.
And Derrick Henry for Montgomery, Deontay Johnson, Scary Terry, a first rounder and a second rounder. So I think that's when you were trying to get draft capital back, but
I needed it back because I was in bad. Is there any, you probably could. I might be able to go back on my team and look what my draft capital looked like before that trade. I think I was in rough freaking shape, like really bad shape.
And when you had traded me, the trade was good. I gave you Tyreek, and I think I gave you my second, and you gave me Nick Chubb, Kenneth Walker, and I think a third. Yeah. I'm not positive, but like that's also mine. That was
a pretty good trade.
Don't get me wrong; it was fair. But like just kind of going in here with the mistake. I love my running backs, but we all know the question marks from year to year. Saquon looks good right now. McCaffrey looks good right now, but who knows what they're going to look like next year? Is one going to get hurt?
Somebody could get hurt
around in 2 years. Sunday. Kenneth Walker had a good rookie year, but do you really know what Seattle's going to look like? Nick Chubb, his value has absolutely gotten pummeled since the Deshaun thing. So if I could go back and find a wide receiver like a Tyreek, somebody that top caliber that you can plug and play for 5 or 6 years and not have to worry about it.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to go back in time and do that somehow.
That's a great point. Yeah. Cause Aaron's sitting fat with Tyreek over the next, Tyreek's a guy that hasn't really been hurt. And especially with how physical he plays going over the middle, catching balls out of the backfield, taking some balls in the backfield. But he's proven his durability. I mean, he's built like a dang brick shithouse. So, yeah, Tyreek stings. Nick, how about you? You got one?
Well, I think, there's one that I don't think I had one that was really, really super glaring. But also I wasn't really able to make a lot of trades because every time I reached out, I got a very similar response from a lot of people, and they said, you don't have a lot of people that I would be interested for my team because I have a lot of younger guys.
Are they going to pan out kind of people? And they have.
Yep. And I have a lot younger guys. Obviously, I'm not trading Jamar Chase, and I'm not going to be trading. Sure? Yep, I'm pretty.
You can probably make that happen.
I mean, I have that core group of guys that I'm not willing to move because they are young and they have a lot of potential. But I guess one that I probably a guy that I could have really used on this stretch down in the playoffs would have been George Kittle. Would have been nice to have on my team. And Dan's going to be going up against him next week. And he's hot.
He's on a tear.
Yeah, him and Brock Purdy are like this right now. So, but other than, I mean, I still got a first round pick out of it. And who knows? You never know how that's going to pan out. But still, that one, I kind of second guess myself. But that would be about it. So, do you which teams do you guys like the most next year, and which ones? So, like, do you guys have a team that like, oh damn, they're gonna be really good next year, and then also, do you have a team that's kind of like it's going to be awful, or maybe did well this year but it's not going to do so good next year? So do you have a kind of an idea on that, Dan? You're nodding away. I've
got a couple teams in mind.
All right, well, Dan, I'm going to let you start.
Yeah, I just went and rated everybody's team for next year and in the future.
Yeah, don't say something I don't want to hear.
Stu, I actually have you at 4th.
Whoa!
I do.
4?
I think the trades that you made towards the end of the season actually made your team a lot better. And you got a lot of draft capital back. I think Nick and I were the two that really realized draft capital early, and we took advantage of it. I gave up a little bit of draft capital throughout the year to try to make some moves. But I still have a lot of draft capital.
Yeah.
But Nick, I've got you 9 out of 10 just because you're so young.
9 out of 10, like 10 out of the capacity rating.
Like, yeah, 9 out of 10 stars.
90%. Yeah. Okay.
So because of the wide receiver depth and the youth on Nick's team, plus the draft capital, and he has a plug and play quarterback. Obviously, the Josh Jacobs I put as your question mark. If Josh Jacobs goes to the right team, your team next year is going to be disgusting. I've got Jake second, actually, because of his youth and his wide receivers. Now, he's got some wide receivers who maybe didn't blow up this year, like Drake London and guys like that, but I think he's got potential. And then I've got myself and you next, Stu, at 3rd and 4th. I do like my team, but I think my team is 1 or 2 injuries away from completely changing. And that worries me. But I like your depth now, Stu. But your age, I have as a question mark because you've got a couple guys creeping.
I got younger than I was, though. God, was I freaking old after the draft.
Yeah.
Yep.
But then lastly, I mean, I've got everyone's teams. You know, you never know what's going to happen in the offseason. You never know how the rookie draft's going to go. But with that being said, I got John at the bottom of the barrel, and I just have a what with a question mark. I know his trades worked out because he's got 3 of the top 4 picks next year, but if those picks don't pan out, his team is looking at last place again. So I think everyone's team is still competitive, and I know everyone in the league is pretty intelligent, has a good game plan, so anything is possible. But Nick, I really like your team. John, he better hit a home run in the draft or else he's in trouble.
So you said that you and Stu were at 2 and 3. Jake was at 4. Who was at 1?
No, I have Jake at 2, and me and Stu at 3 and 4.
So you're who's at 1?
You.
Oh, okay. All right. You said 9 out of 10. I was just okay.
Right, no. I mean, like 9 out of 10, like rated a 9 out of 10.
Oh, okay. All right.
I've got you number 1, Jake 2, me 3, Stu 4. And you know,
my turn.
Yes, Stu.
Isaac's team sucks. That guy might have. He had a horseshoe up halfway up his arse. He wasn't. I don't know what he does for a job, but there's no way he was sitting straight in a chair at work. I really like Aaron's team. I always have. He can thank me for 90% of his players. Aaron's team's going to be really good. I think he's getting a little old with Derrick Henry, but his receivers are so good. He's got plug-and-play quarterbacks. He's got Lamar that's hurt. He's not even playing him. Trey McBride, who he's got an absolute hard-on over. And he's got TJ Hawkinson. I think Aaron's team is really good. Brian, I think, is very fortunate to be in the championship.
He's riding that Jay Jetta train.
Yeah, it's freaking.
Might as well.
It's absurd. I like Aaron's team. I like both of yours, obviously. Nick, I still think that your guys have a lot to prove.
But some of those rookies, yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
I mean, even just like what's Garrett Wilson gonna look like with probably a new quarterback next year if it's not Mike White?
Better.
You know, like better.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
honestly, could you just okay, if Joe Flacco played all season long, where do you think Garrett Wilson's actually ranked this year? Like a top 10?
Yeah. I don't know why they didn't have to play Joe Flacco all season long. But
those two were tearing it up, and not to mention Joe Flacco had like 650 yards passing in those two games. I mean, I get that you can't run with a 36, 37-year-old Joe Flacco. I understand what you need to plan for the future, but goddamn, that Zach Wilson experiment was an epic fail. But
yeah,
yes. Sorry,
I mean,
go ahead.
I still think Kai's team's horrible.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kai. Keenan Allen's only getting older, and I don't know why it hasn't, and he's just so injured all the time. M's, I think, could be halfway interesting. DeAndre Swift, I don't know what he's going to come back at. I mean, I know that they're going to split carries moving forward. Jamal Williams. Yeah, I mean, Jamal Williams.
You think they're bringing him back?
Jamal Williams?
Yeah.
I think so. I mean,
I would, but how much
Jamal Williams? What's Jamal Williams worth on an open market? $6.5, $7 million a year.
He's making $3 million right now.
I think he's worth double. I
thought that Green Bay offered him like $9 million, but they couldn't pay him and Jones, and I thought Detroit paid him like $8 or $9 million.
It was 2 years for $6 million total.
Oh wow! Okay, I thought he was getting paid way more. That locker room loves them some Jamal Williams too, though.
Oh yeah, they do. But if you have Jamal Williams, that's going to bring down the ceiling for Swift for sure. If you think Swift is a 3-down back, which I think he is, I mean, not to like discredit what Jamal is doing by any means, but you're bringing he's never going to be the guy that you want him to be if you keep him around. And it's a good problem to have, I guess, having two good running backs on your team. But at the same time, what do you want to do? Do you want to continue to have or do you want to have a featured back? It's going to have to be a decision for them. So
I think running backs are just going to be. I mean, look at Jared McKinnon right now.
Yeah,
a guy that has been just a scheme guy, a third down guy exclusively, and he's kind of going nuclear right now. Is Clyde Edwards-Helaire is obviously out for the year.
Do you remember Helaire was doing the same thing with limited touches? So I just don't think I love McKinnon, but I don't think that's sustainable.
No, I don't think it's sustainable either. But just look at is the plug and pop running back gonna kind of be a thing moving forward?
Yeah,
I think so. You know, like I think that depth is going to be king at running back, but I mean, I just look at it's a throwing league. Like I said, we both hated losing Tyreek. Aaron's got Tyreek, obviously, but it's a throwing league.
About it, though. Running backs they're expendable.
Yeah,
yes,
bring in another young one.
Quite literally,
and they're getting better.
Yeah,
another thing I like to talk about too is like you mentioned Kai. The note for Kai is I said no top tier players. That's why I didn't like John trading Taylor because he has nothing to build around. Somebody like Bo's got a questionable team, but he's got some top tier guys at some key positions. So he's, if Breece Hall comes back healthy, and I think that's kind of what you got to look at when you look at the future is, do they have a top tier guy? And I don't think Kai does, because like you said, Keenan Allen, target monster, but how much longer is he going to be able to do it?
Yeah.
So the youth and the depth is really what I looked at to help kind of the overall rankings.
Yeah, I think I was just gonna. Speaking of Bo, we were at your potluck, Nick, or whatever the hell you had, and Bo around the fire was talking about this is a prove it year for Patrick Mahomes. Prove it. Is he really that good? Bo, did he prove it? Jesus Christ! And Kai spewing out of his tush about J.K. Dobbins being a top. I don't know what Kai bet me $50 that J.K. Dobbins didn't rush for like 1,400 yards. I'm like, what? So I cashed in on that bet real nicely. But I don't really have. I don't know. I think the league is gonna be 5 or 6 key players, not key players. Teams are gonna be in the mix for the next, apart from catastrophic injury over the next couple of years, you know.
Mhm.
Besides Kai, Aaron said. Aaron just got here. Besides Kai.
Did
he? Oh, I have to ask you guys. Are we done with this subject?
I was gonna ask you what your strategy was going into next season.
Tight end. I need a tight end in the draft. And I know that there are a couple good tight ends coming out. They got that guy coming out of Georgia, that big Washington, and then they got my boy coming out of Notre Dame, Mike
Myers.
Mike Myers. It's Mayer.
Mayer. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Michael Mayer. Yeah, I think tight end. I mean, look at the teams that are competing late in this. They have good tight ends. You know, like they don't have that plug and pop tight end. So I think that tight end is crucial. I mean, I traded away TJ Hawkinson early to Aaron. That shit sucked too. But he found himself. I mean, I think he would have had a really good year in Detroit regardless. But strategy moving forward, I mean, I could still trade just about every damn person on my team. That's an interesting take right there. Nobody's shocked by that. But no, I'll definitely. When does it trade? When does it open back up, Nick? After next week?
The plan is I want
Monday.
Nope, I'm gonna lock it, and I want to open it up the night of our group meeting when we're all on a Zoom call, kind of discussing. That's when I want to. Oh, look, thank you, Obi, bringing me a drink. I think it's the 7th or 8th. It's that first. It's that first Sunday in.
Yeah, that's the 8th.
Yeah, so or second Sunday that would be then. But anyways, that I want to open it up either like an hour before, so I just let everybody just like get them all ready to go, and then just watch the news. We should have a. Too bad we don't have the ability to put like a ticker underneath on the Zoom call of all the fucking trades that are going through.
Are we going?
I can do some pop-up graphics. I can have it ready to go.
Are we going live for the meeting?
I wasn't going to.
Why not?
We could.
Do you think it's going to go bad?
That'd be interesting. Yeah, because you're going to have 12 people trying to talk at the same time. So I think that's going to go pretty
Everybody's got to buzz in.
Yep.
I think we'll have to do the raise the hand and call on them.
I'm going to we can talk about this later on. But Dan, what's your strategy kind of going into next season?
I have already started talking to some people. I am looking to make a giant splash. I want to go after a marquee wide receiver or a marquee quarterback.
Yeah, Justin Fields looks sick.
I have a top 2 draft pick. I have 6 starting running backs on my roster. And I've got some young quarterbacks named Kenny Pickett and Trey Lance that I could package.
I forgot you sold Trey Lance. Dan, come calling. I love Trey Lance.
You don't have anybody on your team that I want.
Dan, that's rude.
Other than Jonathan Taylor.
Dan, that's fucking rude.
But I have already.
Hey, JT, I like that second pick. If you want JT, I need that second pick and some interest.
That's actually doable.
Yeah, we can talk, Dan. We'll talk.
I have also discussed that top 2 pick with Nick Chubb and another player for a top wide receiver. And I also am looking. I'm looking to make some splashes. I've got a lot of running backs, and I don't need 6 of them. So, if you have a top 5,
you don't need 6 of them until you do need 6 of them.
That's true. Like tonight, Tony Pollard got scratched right before the game, so I took him out. I actually wanted to play him tonight, but luckily I got Kenneth Walker and Deontay Foreman. So if somebody else is out, I'll throw Foreman in there. But yeah, I'm looking to make a big splash. I'm trying to win this thing. Also, side note, do you guys think John is just trolling us, or is he going to lose that game on purpose?
I mean, he has like 5 open spots on his bench.
I wanted to say this 100%. He's going to tank that on purpose because he knows, Dan, that you are in the championship and you are probably favored to win the championship this year.
Owns
in
the
year
pick.
1. And Dan owns Emily's pick. So if Emily loses, he's going to have the first overall pick. So he not only could he win the championship, he could have the first overall pick too. And he knows that. And he knows that, and he is not going to let that happen. I can guarantee you that.
But this is why we have a punishment. And if John wants to do that, John can do that. The only time I would have a really, I mean, obviously it sucks. I want to try to get the number 1 pick. I got
an issue with it. I got an issue.
I do, however, I'm not going to like blow up because he's not screwing anybody per se because it is his pick, right? So if he wants to pay the punishment of the $100 to $150 to pay for our booze, that's why we have the punishment. And I think
Yeah,
that's
I'm gonna be drinking that day.
So
it's more than that.
if he wants to pay $100 for the number one pick, so be it. I'll take number 2. And if he wants Bijan Robinson and I can get the top wide receiver, so be it. Would I like to get the number 1? Yeah. But now if it was,
I think we should put it.
if somebody else had his pick and he was trying to do something unethical, I would be really upset with that. But I hope he's just trolling us and he changes his lineup, but it is what it is.
I don't think that's happening.
I think one thing, like, I think we would be doing our due diligence to put it up to a vote to change the rookie draft to finishing standings, where you could never have this situation arise where somebody could potentially be doing something. Is it malicious to lose that game?
Then they can tank once they're out of playoff. But like once they're out of playoff contention, they can tank. You know what I mean? I
it would be worse.
But don't you think people do that?
I like the toilet bowl.
It would be worse if we did that. I agree.
You think so?
Because then you'd have 3 or 4 teams tanking all at the same time.
Yeah.
Why you could have 3 or 4 teams just pulling players so they could get the first overall pick, and then that's going to impact guys in the playoff positioning.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
We can talk about it later. I get what you're saying, Stu. I like the way that we have it now. And again, like when I saw that John did that, I was like, well, that sucks because like I thought it would have been cool to win.
Am I missing? I'm sorry. I was in the losers bracket, but apart from my matchup, I only paid attention to the winners bracket. Did John sit players? Or
no. He wanted to get out, but the thing is now he has his pick, which he's going against M, but he also has Bo and Ty's pick, and they're in the 3rd and 4th. So he's already got 4 and 3 locked up. Yes. In this way, if M loses, I would have 1 and he would get 2, 3, and 4.
But he wants 1, 3, and 4.
He wants 1, 3, and 4 because he knows that value of that number 1 pick. So again, I mean, I don't like it. I wouldn't do it to pay $100, $150 punishment. I would.
I probably would, to be honest. I probably would. I'll be honest. I probably would.
The 1 versus the 2, though. I mean, let's just say Bijan gets drafted by a good team and he goes number 1. I'll take the top wide receiver.
Hey, John, if you're listening, I got a Jordy Nelson autographed jersey that I'll take for the number 1 overall pick right now. Wow. It's hanging over there.
Interesting.
I can put Giannis up right there instead.
Yeah, you could maybe throw in 1 fab in there too, and then that'll be that'll be a big old fat veto from the commissioner there, Stu.
But yes, I will throw this out there. If anyone is looking for a marquee running back, I am willing to listen to deals for any of my running backs, and it could include that number 1 or number 2 overall pick for a very, very few select wide receivers or quarterbacks.
I mean, I'm gonna come hollering, just throw some shit at you. I'm gonna make you sort through so many trade offers.
We'll talk later.
You might accidentally press accept.
That's okay.
All right. Well, what were you gonna? Yeah, was that something different? Fancy talk yet? Okay. Well, hey, let's get our favorite segment in. We have to make sure we get that going so we can watch that and see what our favorite boy does, and then we'll continue on. As much as I love going down these rabbit holes, which I would do these all day, but we have to see Obi.
Right now? Do you guys have the game on right now?
I got it on the projector. Joshua Dobbs is horrible.
CD's got a couple points for you, Nick. It's 7-0 Dallas, but let's see what Obi picked earlier tonight.
Welcome everybody to week 17 of Obi's picks. Tonight we have a matchup between the banged up Tennessee Titans and the Red Hat Cowboys. Obi, what do you think we have tonight, buddy? You are struggling bad. So hopefully we can turn this around. Come on, pal. Come on.
What a fool.
Oh, not the team I would have taken, Obes. But
what a fool.
We shall see, buddy. Yeah,
I immediately
not doing
texted
too hot.
Nick and I just said, "Oh no."
Well, did he? Nope. I was gonna say, did he win last week? Nope. Done. Oh shit! There's no Thursday night game next week. This is gonna be his last one of the season. He's gonna end up with an ooh.
You know what we're gonna do though? We're gonna have Obi pick the playoffs, and we're gonna pool together some money, and we're gonna bet against Obi.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, no kidding, right?
Or
I guess. Yeah, poor boy, poor boy. Well, Stu, what were you gonna say before we got to see our favorite dog?
You had a segment in the list about the sleeper app, kind of what we liked, what we didn't like.
Yeah, so yeah, if you want to touch on that for sure, let's see what you got to say.
No, I thought the sleeper app was great. First time using it, I followed their Twitter page is kind of funny. So their Twitter page is kind of good. It's something that popped in my head, kind of like what Obi does. If there might be a way to do like a pick'ems in the sleeper app, or if anybody in our league wanted to do a pick'ems on a weekly basis or something like that, or like or whatever that is, I think that'd be cool. Little other aspect to it. But no, I thought the app's been good. Yeah, I have no complaints. I had it it was really that's fucking gross. Sorry, Aaron just farted. There's he's an idiot. The only issue I have with the sleeper app is I was trying to draft off my iPad, and that could just be Third and One's super shitty Wi-Fi. That when I was drafting, the players just wouldn't refresh. But I think that's probably Third and One's Wi-Fi, because my phone was working good, or my laptop, whatever I was using, probably my phone. But no, it was good. I liked it a lot. I think it's really cool. I wish that we could have clearly it's a dynasty league, you draft in the beginning, but I think that draft was the freaking best, and it's a shame that the rookie draft's only 3 freaking rounds, but I think if there was a way to draft more, that'd be so freaking cool, but there isn't. So yeah, I thought it was awesome. I live for the draft,
That was actually, I know we're going to talk about this later. That was one thing I was thinking about asking is, do we expand the rookie draft to 4 rounds?
I will have to look. I'll have to look into that to see if we're able to.
I just know, like the Dynasty Ranker website you sent me, Nick. That link that kind of shows you values. It always adds in the 4th round. It's not like I don't think that we have to, but I think it would be kind of helpful for some people to help rebuild their teams, because then it makes it interesting. Is like, do you add another rookie and drop somebody that maybe could help someone else? So something we can talk about later, but.
I know one thing. Aaron just brought up some really cool. Like, if you guys ever, what's that called?
MLB is like Rule 5.
The Rule 5 draft in the MLB, like where if a player didn't start a game for you, you have to release them. Clearly, we wouldn't be able to do that, because if you had 6 players that didn't start a game for you, you'd have to release them. Clearly, bench stashes wouldn't work like that. But is it in the rookie draft where, obviously, we're not adding more roster space, are we, Nick?
No.
So
that would make waivers impossible.
Quite literally. So every year waivers are going to get better and better and better, obviously, with veterans and stuff. But so you have to drop, if you don't have any room on your bench, you have to drop 3 players. Or you have to draft your amount of, like, I have 4 draft picks. I have to drop 4 players.
Yes.
It'd be cool if maybe like the players that were drafted, if we had a 2-round drop draft or something like that, that'd be freaking cool. Clearly there's no way to quantify that, but just goofy ideas like that,
Yeah, but at the same time, how is that any different than the NFL? It's the same thing. You're bringing guys in, and guys are going to get cut. They get older, they're done. They get there. They're on the street. So,
but there are going to be some good players that are going to need to be dropped in order to make space for your rookie draft.
For some teams, yes, yep. Or if they're not willing if they're not willing to do that, then they can just trade a pick or what? Right, for future whatever. But yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess do you guys have any thoughts, comments on the Thursday night game tonight between the Titans and the Cowboys? You guys have it on there. I do not have it on in front of me. But before we get in that, I do want to make, there is going to be a big on that January 8th meeting. there is going to be a new addition to the wall. It's going to be a whiteboard, and I think I'm going to have a whole segment on the whiteboard. It's going to be Stu's trades, and I'm going to tally them up. They're going to be a tally.
I believe, and I went back and counted, I believe it was 19.
That's electric.
And we had, counting today, 9 team name changes.
Yep.
Many including the F word.
Really?
19.
Oh, F the fumble rule.
Yeah. F Fister.
Yeah.
F John. You F'd a lot of people.
I don't know why I said F John. That was emotional.
Maybe it wasn't John. It might have been Kai. It was a couple people.
Might have been Kai. I don't think it was John. John didn't do nothing to me but give me JT.
Yeah. And then 36 roster moves.
That's electric.
That's a lot.
Okay. Stu, I wanted to talk to you about that, since you did bring up that Jonathan Taylor trade. Can you just like kind of back up a little bit and kind of tell us how that all went down, and how you overall feel about that? Like, how did that all go down with your conversations with John, and how did you make that happen?
Yeah, I think John shut me down 4 or 5 times before we got the deal done. I was at work on court teaching, and like going back and forth with John in between me feeding balls to the kids and picking up. So that was interesting. I mean, to have a 23-year-old Jonathan Taylor, yeah, I feel like $1 million. I know they're going to figure it out. I'm curious what they're going to do at the coaching position, at the quarterback position. I know throwing the ball is going to open it up for JT a little bit more. I feel good about having JT. I think everybody in the league would feel good about having JT. I don't feel like I got screwed by any means. I don't love Bijan Robinson with that pick. He's got a lot of carries on him. And I think if you look at those stud guys that have came out in the draft, that in the last however many years, what's this doofus saying? Whatever is going on with I don't like Bijan Robinson that much, so I know that John is banking on hitting early in the draft. What if we look at our first 4 picks, apart from Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, who got hurt? Drake London was 3, Treylon Burks was 2. Treylon Burks was 2, right?
Yep.
Aaron, you took Treylon at 2?
Yep.
Which I think Treylon's going to end up being a good ball player.
I took Olave at 4.
And then I took Wilson at 5.
Okay. I mean, so it's...
Then do you remember who I took at 8, Stu?
Yeah, shut up, Nick. Christian Watson. Yeah.
Go ahead. What were you saying?
Yeah, no, I feel good about having JT. I feel like that the fact that I was able to retain a first-round pick this year and still had 2 seconds this year and a 3rd, I feel good about it. I did have to give away my 2024 first-round pick next year. I did have 2 first-round picks this year at one point. It was Dan's pick. No, it was Kai's pick. It was Kai's pick, because Kai's pick's going to be high up there. The fact that I was able to retain a first-round pick and still have 3 picks in the first 24 this year, I feel good about it. I think everybody would want JT, like I said. Clearly, if I could have JT and Tyreek Hill, I'd feel a little bit better. But I didn't trade Tyreek in that trade, but I think those 2 would have been a real good package. But I don't know. I actually don't. I think that's the trade that I probably remember the least about, that I put the least amount of trade into. The least amount of thought into. That I was just really happy to get JT, because I think my team was really hurting. JT didn't win me any games this year by any means necessary. I think the most JT scored this year was maybe 23, maybe 22. He didn't have that big nuclear game that I was expecting, but I also knew that this wasn't the year that he was really going to have that 1,400-yard year. So it was definitely a future thing. Me trying to get younger at running back. Like I drafted Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry both in the first round this past year. Is Chubb 26?
Yeah.
Henry's 27.
I think so.
And both of them with a lot of carries. And as we've both seen, not great team situations. If they can't throw the ball, they're not going to be able to run it.
Don't you think that happens a lot? I mean, when a team pays a running back a significant amount of money, it just seems like they kind of.
What did Dalvin Cook resign for?
it wasn't top. I don't think it was like top 5 in running backs. It was a little bit less, I think, because he
10 or
is
11 million
banged
a
up.
year.
I think it was like 11, and we'll have to look into that. But still, yeah. And to be quite honest, I think John enjoyed being the prized one at the ball, where everybody was chasing after him there for a couple of weeks. I think he enjoyed
I pissed Cody off pretty good by taking that trade. Cody had a deal basically done, and I swooped in and stole it. So sorry, Cody.
Well, John flat out told me no. I offered him 2 firsts and Tony Pollard, and he told me, yeah,
I'll take that right now, Dan.
I offered him. That's not on the table.
Damn it.
Yeah, I offered him.
Why wouldn't it be on the table now? He's getting the reset button, Dan.
Because I think Ezekiel Elliott looks like trash, and Tony Pollard might be the future. And also, right now,
well, let's talk, Dan. I like the 2 first-round picks and a player.
Tony Pollard's backup right now is gashing Tennessee.
I saw that he was really high up on the waiver wire.
Yeah. But yeah, I offered him this year's first and next year's first and Tony Pollard, and he said no, and he flat out said not even thinking about it because he told me he didn't want to make my team better.
Yes.
Dan, I'll make your team better.
And then literally a day later, he took yours for 2 firsts.
Yeah, so, I mean, Dan, I'll make your team better.
Worked out, but
I'll make it better. Come talk to me.
Could you imagine my team next year, though? Jonathan Taylor, CMC, Saquon, Kenneth Walker, and Chubb. Holy shit.
That's 5. You can only start 4, Dan.
Yeah, again.
One's got to come to me.
Like you said, until you need one.
Yeah, he doesn't care because not only, yes, there is somebody's going to get hurt. Running back will get hurt, and it's keeping him off of somebody else's roster.
Bye week.
Yep, Ooh. That too. Yep. But
Dan, that's intriguing.
Oh boy.
I won't dabble in that, but that's intriguing, Dan. We'll speak.
We got some trades brewing on the
we'll
pod
speak
here.
Offline, Dan. We'll speak offline. Take this off. They always say that when I'm in a big meeting now at work, they say, yeah, we'll take this offline. Yeah, we'll take that offline, Dan.
I can't wait for the trades to open back up this offseason. It's gonna be
they've been pent up a little bit. Has it been 6 weeks?
It was week 9, so probably
I
close.
feel anxious.
I know that.
Aaron and I will definitely do a trade that Sunday night. Aaron, you want to do a trade? Aaron said, yeah.
Stop sending all your good players to Aaron.
No. He's going to start sending them to me, baby. Right. Aaron doesn't have a first-round draft pick the next 3 years. Exactly. That's fine.
Not to cut this off, but Nick, do you want to get into locks and upsets and players of the week before we go on another rabbit hole?
Yep. I was just going to say that. Let's go. Let's get those done and on the books.
Dobbs going deep. Traylon Burks. Is that Burks, Aaron? No, that's not Burks. Okay, go ahead, sorry.
And also while I pull this up, if you guys can do a little cheering for me, I was in a 5-week DraftKings tournament, and you have to get the top 2 every week to move forward. And then last week I had to win. I am in a final with only 24 people, and the winner gets $10K.
Jesus Christ.
The problem is, so there's only 24 people. I got a 1 out of 24 chance, and I'm stacked. The problem is 4 of my players are on Brian's roster. Justin Jefferson, Aaron Jones, George Kittle, and Jahan Dotson. So I'm like, do I root for them? Do I not root for them? Can I root for them a little bit, but not a lot? But
Dan, what do they say? Money talks, baby. Root for them.
Actually, because I've been talking to Brian this week.
10 grand's way better than 900 for this fucking league.
I know, but the bragging rights is just incalculable, you know?
They're a trophy?
There should be.
We should get a trophy going.
We should fundraise for a trophy.
Yeah. But yeah, so if you guys also, and I also have Saquon and Kenneth Walker in both my fantasy lineup and my DraftKings. So we'll just vote for those 2. But all right, so going to last week, Stu, we had some pretty big fantasy performances. So who did you have for your week 16 fantasy player of the week?
I think I had TJ Hawkinson, right?
You sure did.
I got to pull this up. I'm sorry.
Yep, you did. There he is.
That boy, I thought when Aaron had TJ go off, I was just like, he's locked at winning against Brian.
Yeah, he had a
big game.
I would say so. I mean, I was kind of questioning that trade that they gave up a lot of draft capital for a guy that they're going to have to pay then. I mean, they knew that, but Yeah,
What'd they give for
he's
him?
worked, I think like a second and a third rounder.
Yeah. I think maybe a fifth or sixth later too, maybe.
Something like that.
Or
Yeah.
maybe they gave up a fifth with it.
Yeah.
Huh.
But yeah,
Well-
second and third, that's a lot for a tight end.
Yeah.
Well, I know this is a big surprise to everybody, but I did take one of my own players here, and I took CD Lamb. Not only did he have a hell of a game, and I was extremely excited, but he gave me hope of
Yeah.
winning, and that was the highest that I had been for the weekend. After that, it all went downhill, but he had me riding high there for a little while. So
I'll be honest, I don't trust that guy.
why is that?
I don't know. He's not elite. He's very good. But he's
Yeah.
not a top 10 receiver. Dan?
Are you
Well, I've got the numbers here for our fantasy teams too, and I want to talk about, but we went so far off course that it would take too long. But this year, Nick had the number 5, 11, 14, and 19 ranked wide receivers.
CD was 11, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
He
He ain't top 10, Nick. Take it easy.
he's still
And
pretty
actually,
damn good,
Stu-
buddy.
Stu, you had 13, 16, 21, and 22, so you also have some very good wide receivers.
That shit's dope. Let me know if you want to trade one of them, Dan.
All right, well let's let's go into who we think's gonna have a big week. I love this every time you pull this up, all these guys.
How is this? Oh, that's
This
a
is
winner.
everybody's picks of the
Mike
players of the
White?
week. Yeah, that was, I believe,
That
of
was
John.
definitely you because you want. Oh, that was John. I thought I see Garrett Wilson because you wanted Garrett.
That was the week of John and David. One of them picked it, and then John
Oh,
also
yeah.
was the one that John had Cooper Rush in week 3.
Yep, John just he's got some interesting picks,
Cooper
but
Rush.
right. But Stu, who do you got? Who do you think's gonna ball out this week?
The bad man. Aaron Rodgers is gonna ball out this week and take us to be in position to win, and you're in. Because Carson Wentz is gonna throw 4 picks this weekend. We are gonna be
starting.
who? Carson Wentz?
Yeah.
His ass is starting. He's gonna ball out, and we're gonna be there for a win and in against the Detroit Lions.
I hope
All
so.
right. I hope so.
I went with my heart there, not my gut.
And I will just say, for fantasy purposes, I was not planning on starting Rodgers this year. Obviously, I made that trade with you for Kyler Murray. Another one I regret, giving up a first and Justin Fields, by the way. But I've got Rodgers, and what sweeter way to win the fantasy championship than with
As if Rodgers balls the
freaking
fuck out?
Rodgers.
Oh my god.
But you can see we've got a little matchup here, and we've had this a couple times. Nicholas, I like your pick, unfortunately, because I'm playing against him. But you've got the Jay Jetta.
Hell yes. I think not that this guy needs more motivation, or not that he needs any motivation. He's gonna perform, but with Jair talking some shit, saying that was a fluke, I think that might just kind of get him going a little bit more. And I think he's gonna have a good
Jefferson's
game.
not gonna not go for 100 yards.
Oh,
but
of course, especially with this awful cover 4 scheme that we
it's
have.
if he doesn't go for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns,
All right. Yeah, that's the thing. He's gonna rack up a lot of yards, maybe not as many catches, because we do give up a lot of yards. It's a bend not break defense, which is sometimes very, very infuriating to watch. But I think he's gonna have a 25-point game this weekend.
Yeah,
and that might not help you out, but what? I'm still rooting for the Packers. I just think.
Are you?
Well, how could I not be?
That's the thing.
All
Is, like,
day.
Jefferson's going to have 100. It's just, does he have 7 for 100, or does he have 12 for 160 and 3 touchdowns?
What is that? Yeah, what does
That's
that 100 look like?
Yeah. Honestly, I'll take 60 points from him in my DraftKings as long as the rest of Brian's team doesn't show up. That's fine.
Fair enough. Yeah, he can score 3 touchdowns as long as we win.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
Watson can have one. AJ can have one. Randall can have one. Rodgers can run one in. That's cool.
Aaron's gonna go nuclear, I hope.
Yeah. All right. So picks of the week.
Yep.
Who do you got for? Oh, actually, let me set this up. Both people went 1-1 last week. So Nick, you are still tied with the guest at 16-14.
This is bullshit.
But Stu, I really like your lock this week. I think it's a pretty popular pick. But who do you have to lock and upset this week?
Chiefs over Broncos for the lock. Chiefs, I believe, Chiefs are the 1 seed. They want that home field advantage through Arrowhead, so they're gonna keep balling. And then upset is Browns over Commanders. We need the Commanders to lose, so I went with my heart here, 2 for 2. Chiefs, I think, is a damn no-brainer.
And the Chiefs are actually the 2 seed because they
they're
lost the tiebreaker to the Bills. So they're definitely gonna come out trying to hammer Denver.
Yeah.
And I believe the Bengals are playing the Bills this weekend. And if the Bengals win
Bengals are gonna win that
Sunday and they win week 18, they will be the number 1 seed this year. Which
That's
is
absurd.
Yep. But I like that pick, and I think we need to for the record, I always let the guest pick first, and there has probably been I bet you half the instances where the guest picked the team first, so don't forget that I'm taking the back burner here, and we're still tied. All right, Stu, you calm down over there.
Who's
Calm
Seattle
down.
playing?
But I'm gonna go with the Cowboys. They're playing tonight, as we were talking about. They're playing the Titans. I think that's pretty. I think that's gonna be about as straightforward as it gets, because as banged up as Tennessee is, and the Cowboys looking good. But the Seattle Seahawks are playing the New York Jets. Not that I don't think that Mike White is good. Yep, they are.
Obviously,
I think they're on the road
in New York.
No, they're home.
Oh,
Seattle's
they are
home.
Oh, damn.
Seattle's home and their dogs in that game.
Yep.
I don't know if they're going to win, but I do think that it's going to be a close game that's going to cover. I don't see Mike White coming, like we alluded to earlier, that Mike White's not going to come out. He's not going to be like he does a better job than Zach Wilson, but he's not a franchise quarterback by any means. But I still think he's going to move the ball on them a lot.
All right, I gotta know, what are the Jets doing a quarterback in the offseason? What are they doing?
Dude, they're gonna.
They could be one of those teams. I think they go free agent. I think they've got some cap space, so I think they go. I think they go free agent.
A lot of cap space. They could go out and get a guy like Jordan Love or Jimmy Garoppolo too. We never even thought about that.
What quarterbacks are really open in the free agent market where they need that much cap space? Not that many.
Yeah, but every quarterback that starts gets a lot of money, regardless of whether it's 30 or 50. It's still a huge cap hit.
Okay, Dick. Oh, I'm not talking to you. Aaron put my beer somewhere. What a dickhead. I don't know. I mean, what's Jimmy G worth right now in the open market? Is it 3 years, $90 million guaranteed?
Oh,
three for 65, 70.
What?
I would say 70.
Are you freaking serious? Jimmy G, proven winner. He still hasn't proven himself to get 30 a year. Guys, people are going for 50 right now. Jimmy G's not worth 30.
Tell me in fantasy, if you don't get a top 3 quarterback, why do you wait till the 10th round? Because they're a horse apiece after the premier level.
Yeah, but we're fantasy. They're trying to win games.
Still a horse apiece. You take out the Mahomes and the Josh Allens, they're from quarterback. I'm not saying there's only 3 or 4, but after quarterback 8 or 9, which Jimmy G is not in, Derek Carr is not in, from quarterback like 12 to 24 they're all the same.
I don't know about that, but all the same 12 to 24. 24.
They're not, what I mean by is they're all the same, is they're not the same talent wise. I mean, they're all the same as like how many wins they're gonna get you. What situation? You put Daniel Jones in the best situation, he's doing okay with the Giants, right? You put Derek Carr on an average team, he's an average quarterback. But then you put, somebody who's not that good on a fantastic team like Jimmy G. I like Jimmy G, but you put him on a Niners team, he looks great. If you put Jimmy G on like the Jaguars, holy shit, would they be bad? There's no way they'd be.
I don't know
sniffing
about
the playoffs.
bad.
Well, they wouldn't be sniffing the playoffs. You put Jimmy G on Seattle this year, they're not. They don't have a winning record.
I think they do.
Nope.
Absolutely.
Nope.
Absolutely. I strongly disagree. So you think Gino's way better than Jimmy G?
I'm not saying way better, but I would take Gino over Jimmy G for the
But
next.
he's in that 12 to 24 though, isn't he?
He is, absolutely, and that's why I'm not paying either one of them more money.
How much is Geno Smith going to resign for?
Not that much. I think Seattle gives him 2 years, maybe.
2 years what?
Maybe 3 years with a team option on the third, so they can figure out what they're going to do next year. Not this year, but next year.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is going to Justin Herbert's going to almost reset the market this upcoming year. Trevor Lawrence is then going to reset it in 2 years.
Yep.
Trevor Lawrence is probably going to win a league MVP in the next 2 years. Bold predictions right there.
I hope so.
You hope so or don't?
I hope so. I love
yeah.
Trev.
I think Trev will win a league MVP in the next 3. I'll say 3 years. Especially with Calvin Ridley coming. Can we quick make reference to Aaron Brost horrible trade that he sent Calvin Ridley in? Aaron, what's that fucking trade? That was horrible. If we can find that trade, that'd be great.
Here's a question. I just saw this yesterday while browsing around. How old is Calvin Ridley?
26?
How long has he been in the league?
No. This is really good. I like this. I saw the same thing today. Did you know that?
Is he old? Am I wrong?
No,
He's old? He's not 30.
No, did you know that Amari Cooper and Calvin Ridley they both went to Alabama?
Aaron just said this.
And they are the exact same age, but they've never played a snap at the same time together.
Calvin Ridley graduated high school at 20.
20 years old.
He is 28. He's only actually played 2.5 seasons in the NFL, and he's 28.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Does that not blow your mind?
I thought he was 26.
No, you would think, right? Because he's only been in the league for a few years.
How do you play a high school sport at 20?
He couldn't.
They could. Yeah, this must have blown up and went viral the last couple of days. But yeah, I saw this morning. Yeah.
Well, I don't get me wrong. I liked the trade for Jacksonville to bring him in because it's a low risk, and they got.
What they get him for?
Like a late pick, I think. And he's not
a fifth rounder.
So if he doesn't work and they cut him, it's not a big deal. But at the same time, he could really help them. Like, Marvin Jones is getting old. Zay Jones, who knows how long he'll be around? Obviously, Kirk's great, but yeah, I just thought that was really cool.
This is gonna be a hot take here, but I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be a Super Bowl team in the next 2 to 3 years because of how much cap space that they had. They brought in an elite prospect at quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, and then they had one awful year. They kind of had to see what they had, and maybe missed out on some. Yes,
and they're one of the weakest divisions in the NFL.
Yep. Well, but then in this offseason, they did exactly what they should do. They have extra cap space, and what do? They go in and they bring in Zay Jones, Marvin Jones,
Ingram.
The tight end, Ingram.
Kirk.
They have Christian Kirk.
They're going to have to pay. Evan Ingram's going to get paid, though.
Yes, some of these guys are on 1 year deals.
Tight end, but Evan Ingram's it's going to be $10 million a year for sure.
Well, he got 10 this year.
Ooh, then it's going to be 13 or 14.
And he was on a prove-it deal, but I mean, a lot of those guys but they were doing the right thing. They're bringing in they're bringing in talent around him to help him up because he had no help last year, none. So
I don't know if you guys have watched a Jacksonville game. Evan Ingram is the most receivered body tight end I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
he looks like he weighs 225 pounds. And because he's number 17, but
he's definitely not a blocking tight end, is he?
That guy is absurd. He's so good.
And then you see Travis Kelce just lumbering, and he looks like he's a tackle, but he's just disgusting.
You see, George Kittle, though, through his first 5 years, him and Travis Kelce are almost identical.
Really? I didn't know that.
It's just, I mean, honestly, like, Kelsey's the best, but if you put Kittle on the Chiefs for his career, he's Travis Kelce. Yeah. Like, he's the number 1 tight end.
How about that catch by Big Dog down the sideline last Sunday? That was awesome. How often do you see Big Dog going on a wheel route and bringing it in over a safety?
Damn true.
That was the. Hey, should we talk about the Packers a little bit? We haven't really talked about them.
We haven't talked about Packers once.
Besides a little Aaron Rodgers here and there, and trading away that first round pick, that one of the worst first round picks I've ever seen across the NFL. But well, what do you think? Do you think we're gonna do that this weekend? Do you think we're gonna close this out? And you think they're gonna do it?
Shit, I don't know. Aaron, are you all the way in? Aaron's all the way in back on the Packers, and he's the most roller coaster Packer fan I've ever met in my life. Like, will text me, "Fuck my life, I hate this, never watching a game again," and then text me back, "I'm all the way in." I don't, man.
We're favorites.
We are, yeah, I did see we are favorites. Because I was going to take the Packers as my underdog pick because I figured we're dogs against the Vikings, but we're not. We're like 3.5 point favorites. Yeah.
Hey, Vegas knows what the hell they're talking about, though.
Yeah.
I don't even care if they cover. I don't care if they, it's just win by a point. Who gives a fuck at this point?
I don't know if we're going to win. God, I hope we do. If we have completely mismanaged Aaron Jones the whole year.
Yeah.
It's actually a tragedy. Aaron Jones is like, I know that when you talk about running backs like 4 through 10, it's really crowded. But like Aaron Jones, if he was used properly, is like the 6th best back in the league.
But what I've been hearing, because Nick gets my rant every weekend, I complain that Aaron Jones isn't getting the ball. Like, Nick's probably sick of me saying it. I think that he's a little bit more injured than they're letting us know.
I think
and that they're really trying to keep him fresh, because I've been hearing rumors from some more people that live up in the valley that they're like, there's rumblings that he's actually been pretty dinged up and like he's good enough to play, but they're really trying not to overwork him.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's the case, and that the coaches just aren't as stupid as I think they might be, and that hopefully they're just keeping him fresh for this push.
CeeDee Lamb.
So I think we'll see this weekend, because I mean, you got to go all out or nothing at this point. Yeah. I was saying the same thing last week with Saquon. Dude was averaging like 6 yards a touch, and he had like 5 touches, and I'm like, and the Giants had 0 points at halftime. I'm like, he's arguably a top 3 player. How are you not giving him the ball? And then what happened? They start feeding him and they score points. So Green Bay has got to try to put some of this offense through Aaron Jones.
They've got to scheme through Aaron Jones. I think that's the biggest frustration. Is Christian Watson playing?
He hasn't been practicing this week.
I'll tell you, that guy needs to not be so fucking soft. That guy is made out of fucking jello. I mean, you poke a hole in him and he's bleeding out. Well, like, Nick, don't, I know this is, you like him for fantasy. That boy is soft as butter, and he's playing in Green Bay. He did well in Fargo because he didn't have to play on the elements they played in the damn dome. He is soft as butter.
All I was going to say is I wasn't defending him specifically, but there's been a lot of players that have gotten banged up their rookie year, their second year, and have just flourished and stayed very, very healthy the rest of their career.
Soft as butter.
And Watson, when we've been playing well, Watson has brought that dynamic that we have not had in a wide receiver in a long time.
And we need that to win.
Do you want to know how unfortunate it is that we've only seen could you say, is it fair to say like only 100 offensive snaps all season with Dobbs and Watson on the field at the same time?
That's probably
that sucks. I mean, I'm sure there's there's a stat out there for that, but still, like, we would have really loved to see those two guys out on the same at the field at the same time.
I just can't get over that
that's going to be our future.
I just can't get over that they still both are having miscues on running routes.
Yeah.
I see Aaron pissed you'll see a misthrow. I'm sorry. I'm going to go Aaron Rodgers' way every single time. He knows where the ball needs to fucking go, regardless if he makes a throw or not. But those boys are still running wrong routes.
Well, even Lazard's doing the same shit.
I was sold out. I wanted us to get rid of Devontae through his whole first 2 years. So
I mean, that boy was bad. But we also had people to throw to, and that made it a little bit easier to be okay with it.
That's true.
Yeah, but I'm hoping this guy turns out because Watson, I love me some Dobbs.
Don't get me wrong, I think they're both good.
Dobbs' ceiling is not Watson's ceiling.
Yeah,
but he's a very good compliment to Watson.
He's fantastic. He can run the whole route tree. I love him. But I'm just saying, like, when you're talking about can he be a top 5 wide receiver in the league, Dobbs doesn't have that. Watson could be if he keeps it together.
Yeah, we signed Alan Lazard to a 1-year deal. He's gone, obviously.
I don't know.
I don't know.
If we can get the hometown discount for him, he would. Oh, I love that guy. And the block this week, he does it every week.
We had 1, 2, 3. That was
that was
and he's that big body that Rodgers can trust. He's not a number 1, but man, if we can get a discount on him with those young guys, I would love to keep me some Lazard.
I'm surprised Aaron hasn't leaned on him just a little bit more over the past 5 or 6 weeks.
I think he's trying hard to get these rookies involved so they get the game experience, so that he knows that this year's not the year.
But if we're gonna win, he's got to get him in now.
Yep, that too.
And Randall Cobb needs to damn retire. I'm sick of his shit. He'll catch a couple balls a game, but I feel like he hasn't caught a super meaningful ball. He's caught a couple super meaningful balls all season. But like,
he gets a lot of 3rd down conversions, which is nice.
Yeah, Tunion's ass is gone. I run a faster 40 than Rob Tunyon. Nick, I know you can attest. I torched you on Division about 4 years ago when we were almost blacked out. Torched your ass, Nick. Rob Tunyon is so slow. It's painful to watch Bob Tunyon run routes.
Yeah, we're probably lucky we didn't walk away in cuffs that night, just running up and down Division Street in the middle of the night.
That's probably a good idea. But no, Bob Tunyon's got to get. I would love to see the Packers. Like, I don't think Michael Mayer's going to drop low enough for the Packers to take him. No. I think Michael Mayer's going to go like 12 to 14, or maybe even a little higher, maybe 11. He's not going to.
We got way too many holes on defense, anyways. We got to spend another first on defense.
Yeah.
Can we draft a new defensive coordinator?
Jim Leonard.
Yeah. How about well, there's a reason. There is a reason why that man doesn't have a job right now. It's because he's waiting for Joe Barry to get his ass canned. 100%. 100%. That guy is Wisconsin through and through, and he wanted the head coaching job at UW in the UW in the worst way.
You know the really shitty thing though, if Ryan Day at Ohio State doesn't win a national championship in the next 2 years, he's gonna get canned. Fickle. And you know who they're gonna call first? Luke Fickell. Mm-hmm. Luke Fickell will be the next coach at Ohio State. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Sorry, we're going college football here for a second. Luke Fickell is a home run hire for the Wisconsin Badgers, but God, they may fuck themselves by not retaining Jim Leonard. The timelines just did not add up. Where Jim Leonard's not, if Jim Leonard takes a DC job at the Packers, he's not coming back to coach the Badgers as their head coach. You know, like the Badgers could screw themselves in 2 years if Ohio State does not pan out.
But that, I hate to say, because I love Leonard as much as anybody, but the right hire was Luke Fickell.
Oh, I agree 100%. Luke Fickell's a home run hire for the Badgers.
For overall for the organization.
Home run hire. Home run, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, any last?
I know we're running long, but any playoff predictions for you guys for this week and next week? Anybody going to sneak in? Green Bay, you got Jacksonville and Tennessee. Tennessee's getting run out of the building right now.
Jacksonville's going to make the playoffs. They're going to put up a fit in the wild card round with whoever they have. If Trevor gets hot, they're going to be scary. I still think if the Miami Dolphins play well, they're going to be a force. I know they haven't played well over the last 5 weeks, but Miami is a team that can very religiously put up 40. I mean, look at they almost won a game in Buffalo where it was torrential snow.
And I actually don't think Teddy is a drop off from Tua.
Not too much, no.
Not drastic.
Not too much.
They're very similar players.
Yeah, yes. Not drastic, but I mean, I think San Fran's the favorite to win the NFC. Sorry, Eagles. I mean, I think the Eagles are going to be really good, but if Jalen Hurts doesn't have one of those Colin Kaepernick games and they're playing San Fran, they're not winning that game.
Stu, what's your Super Bowl pick? And then after that, Nick, I want to ask if yours has changed because I think we talked about this about 4 or 5 weeks ago. I want to know if yours has changed. But Stu, right now we're going into week 17. What's your Super Bowl pick?
The Cincinnati Bengals and the San Francisco 49ers. That's my pick.
Was that the Super Bowl in like 91 or
with Boomer Esiason?
Yeah, they were. Yeah,
91 or 90.
Boomer and Joe Montana, because Steve Young wasn't there yet. Yeah,
well, it was Montana.
Yeah, I just think Joe Burrow is comfortable enough to make the really crucial plays. And if Joe Mixon can stay healthy, I mean, Samaje Perine has popped off when Joe Mixon hasn't been running the ball or has been hurt. As long as Cincinnati can get to the quarterback with Hendricks, I think his name's Hendrickson. As long as they can get to the quarterback and they don't give up too many points, Cincinnati's going to be damn hard to beat. I still think Kansas City's the best team in the NFL, but we've seen those weird fluky games where they just play it a little too close to the chest and they skim by against a poor team. That's not going to work against Cincinnati. I honestly think that Kansas City will beat Buffalo. I don't love how Buffalo's been playing football since they kind of lost those 2 games. I don't love it at all.
Von Miller was a bigger hit than people think he was going to be.
Yeah. I think it's going to be Cincinnati or the Chiefs coming out of the AFC. And then I think the Niners, I really don't think anybody can beat the Niners. I don't in the NFC. Also, the Vikings got hot and scored 40.
Cincinnati also just lost one of their tackles, but we've also seen Joe Burrow get to the Super Bowl without a tackle before. So
with getting sacked 9 times against Tennessee and winning.
Yeah. Yep, I agree with you 100%. You know, when we were bashing Cincinnati at the start of the year that they spent all that money on that offensive line, well, I think it was just like there was just some growing pains at the start there because they figured it out. Yeah, yes, they lost a tackle, but that offensive line is keeping them upright a lot more often now. And Cincinnati's hot. They're getting hot at the right time. Same with, like you said, with the 49ers. But I will say, I do think the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to get into playoffs because Tennessee is so bad and they're so hurt. And I could honestly see, unless the Jaguars run into the Chiefs right away, but I can see I could honestly see the Jacksonville Jaguars going to the
game.
Yes. Yeah. I could see them going to the AFC Championship game.
Kind of like that Jets team from back in the day.
Yep. Trevor Lawrence is hot. They've got it figured out. They just again, same thing, first 10 weeks or so. They were just kind of figuring Doug Peterson out. They're figuring each other out, but I could see them making
that guy's the QB whisperer.
Yeah, isn't he?
Trevor Lawrence is going to win an MVP, and they're going to be a perennial Super Bowl pick in the next 5 years.
And just think that when Doug Peterson did that with Carson Wentz, yes, he was a high draft pick, but he isn't anything compared to Trevor Lawrence.
I agree 100%.
I mean, we're on a different level here.
We just talked about Fickle being the perfect hire for the Badgers. Jacksonville made the worst head coach hire in the history of NFL to the best for their organization. Not saying Doug Peterson is the best coach in the NFL, but for that team and where they're at, and with Lawrence and the guys he brought in, man, night and day difference. Because Urban Meyer, worst head coach hiring ever.
Yeah.
Right up there with who was the guy, Adam Gase with the Jets.
Yeah.
Doug Peterson, when they hired Doug Peterson, that was the best potential scenario for Trevor Lawrence.
Absolutely.
100%.
So Nick, what's your Super Bowl pick?
Well, I believe I don't remember, I think I said Dallas and Buffalo. Interesting. But that was before Von tore his ACL, like you said. Cincinnati is the hot team, but Kansas City, that's going to be, I think, depending on how the playoff bracket plays out. I really do think it's going to be another Chiefs-Bengals AFC Championship game, and we all want to see it. I mean, come on. I mean, we can't lie. We all want to see that shit. Joe Burrow is that guy is 100% football, and
Yeah,
he
he's
is
absurd.
just, it's so cool to watch. But the NFC side, ooh, how fun would it be to see a 49ers Cowboys and NFC Championship game? Like,
That actually fucking bother me.
bring back a little history. I could see the 49ers doing that. The I think the Eagles are very, very talented, and you have all these experts saying that they're the best and the most well-rounded team, everything. They probably are, but Jalen Hurts is hurt, and he's not going to come back 100%, and he's going to come back early because he's going to have to go and make some plays in the playoffs, and he's going to be hurt, and it's just going to affect them in the
He's
playoffs.
slated to start this week.
Oh, is he already? Yeah, so you're just going to
Still,
rush him back.
They don't want to lose out and lose the 1 seed.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's going
But
to
I
be playing
actually
with
think
injuries the
Minshew's
rest
a
of the
starter
year.
in the NFL.
Yeah. No, I think it's gonna. I'd have to change my answer to either a repeat of the 49ers and Chiefs or the Bengals at this point.
Okay. Dan, how about you?
Chiefs. I'm not betting against them.
They're very good.
And every team that's still alive in the NFC, I can't stand. Can't stand the Niners, can't stand the Cowboys, can't stand the Vikings, can't stand Philadelphia fans. So I just hope Bengals, Bills, or Chiefs, whoever wins the AFC, I'm rooting for in the Super Bowl.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Well, Dan, I'm going to start with you. Let's have some last thoughts. We'll wrap this bitch up for the night.
Yes, I told you last week I was going to give you all the smoke if I beat you, and I didn't because I know the feeling of losing. I'm glad it was a fun matchup. I'm sorry that one of us had to lose, but I am glad that it was me that won. So looking forward to a championship match this week against Brian. I know you're in third place, and I am very much looking forward to the future months when we can start trading again the NFL draft, because what a time to be alive.
Yeah, if anybody wants to trade, let me know. My line's open as always. Dan and I might have some stewing already, pun intended. But other than that, yeah, it's been great. Good to be on the podcast again for a second time. I think we should go live draft night. That'd be fun. I think that'd
be really fun is if we could have it set up to, we could get a podium going, go up. That would be fun. We would have to, as long as
I can make like mascot cards, and we could hire somebody like Obi could be the commissioner, and he could run the card up to somebody.
Yeah,
we can go. If you guys want to do this, we can make it happen.
Oh, we have a lot of time to figure that out, and that could be really, really fun. It could be really, really interesting for sure. Stu, thank you again for coming on. It's always a pleasure. Dan, thank you again for everything that you do. We had a lot of very good discussion tonight. It was awesome. Yeah, it hurt a little bit this last weekend, but I'm excited for the future, and that's all we can do. I think I have a bright one ahead of me, so hell yeah, it's been a blast again as always. So thank
you guys,
and go Pack go.
Go Pack
go. Pack go. All right, later everyone.